Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we're kicking off episode 2 of the new Jacob Chooses My Reading Prompt series that I started earlier this year on my channel. The idea of this is basically that Jacob comes up with a list of 20 prompts for me to pick from, and then I roll a d20 to figure out what I'm going to be reading, and if I manage to read 4 books, that's like a success, and if I read all 5 of the books that we choose, then I get to have some input on one of the prompts that goes in for the next quarter's episode. And we just decided that we had so much fun with this the first time to make it a quarterly feature, and we're going to continue doing it until such time as we get bored with the idea. For now, though, we are still having a ton of fun, and I'm really looking forward to this episode because I have already chosen the prompts, did this ahead of time just to be able to do some planning for July, and I think we have a really exciting stack for this episode. So, let's hop back in time to past Hope and Jacob so you can see what prompts he came up with and what I'm going to be reading for this episode, and then we'll come back here and talk about the plan moving forward. Welcome back.
Yeah. I'm back to torture my partner via books.
Hell yeah. So for those who didn't see the previous version of this, a while back, Jacob
What
and
are
I,
you doing?
first of all,
Watch her videos.
it'll be linked. Now, a while back, a couple of months ago, I guess, 3 months ago, we did a video where Jacob came up with a bunch of prompts for me, and I did a dice roller, and I think I had 5 of them, and just tried to read the books that came up with that. But the fun thing about this that I really like is that Jacob is not on BookTube as much as I am. So the prompts that he comes up with are very different than I think the prompts you see elsewhere. So they're really fun. It's just really fun to pick books for them. So we had enough fun doing it the first time, we thought we'd do it a second time. So that's what we're here to do today.
And I may have learned the wrong lessons from the last time, and I made things a little crazier. To the point where I do want to warn you, we're doing this D20 style again. And 19 of these prompts will give you a book.
Okay.
There is what I call a whammy in here that all I will say is that it will not give you a book to read.
Okay. Interesting.
And that's all I'm going to give you. So let's hope you don't land on the whammy.
Okay. Well,
because I'm curious to see how you would react if you do.
That's fair. We're doing this with an actual D20 today. I did use a dice roller online last time, but I couldn't get it to display properly today in the recording. So we're just going to use an actual D20. So you won't be able to see the dice, but I promise you I'm telling you the correct number. Yeah, do you want to just dive in? I think we did 4 last time, then we expanded it to 5.
Yep.
Do you want to do a flat 5 or?
We can just do flat 5, yeah. Why not?
Okay, cool. And we'll just do it the same way we did last time. I'll pick a book after each prompt, and we'll just go back and forth.
Okay.
Cool. So let me roll for that first book. The dog just got down and ran off. She's sick of my shit. Number 18.
18. Okay, this is a fun one. A book with a premise that makes you think, quote, this author should never cook again.
Oh. Elaborate a little bit. I'm trying to
basically
think.
A book with a premise that, like, when you read like the blurb on like the inner lining, or on the back of the book, if you got one of the mass market paperback style books, that it's just like, God, what made you think of this? Like something just really inane or kind of stupid sounding.
Okay. So like dumb or just like really wacky?
Yeah. Or we'll just say something that you're kind of iffy on if you're actually going to vibe with that or not.
Okay. Well, let me go start my shelf. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I've kind of taken your prompt and not twisted it.
Okay.
I think I've taken it in a direction.
Bastardizing my concepts already.
So the problem is that like everything that's on my shelves is there because I think I'm gonna vibe with it generally. So I was struggling to find like a really wild prompt, and then I remembered that we have a series I've been reading for Cursed Book Club. And every time you read one of the premises, you're like, why? Huh? Excuse me? If what you're thinking is Sookie Stackhouse.
Yes, it is. Oh
Yeah.
fuck.
So I think we're gonna go with the book 4 of Sookie Stackhouse because the prompt for this, like every single premise for one of these books, is wild. But this one is very goofy. This one has the amnesia trope in it. So
Oh god.
it says, it's not every day that you come across a naked man on the side of the road. That's why cocktail waitress Sookie Stackhouse doesn't just drive on by. Turns out the poor thing hasn't a clue who he is, but Sookie does. It's Eric the vampire. But now he's a kinder, gentler Eric. And a scared Eric, because whoever took his memory now wants his life. Sookie's investigation into who and why leads straight into a dangerous battle among witches, vampires, and werewolves. But a greater danger could be to Sookie's heart, because this version of Eric is very difficult to resist.
Oh my. This.
It's a very goofy
Ooh.
premise, and every one of these books is just a weird, wacky, wild time. They're
That
not
is
well
true. They
written,
are.
and they sure are of their time, but like,
It's kind of incredible. Yeah, I say this. Kudos to Charlene Harris. She has made a definitive career off of whatever these are. But yeah, I'd say we're off to a good start. We're already giving you
getting
some
some fun stuff.
interesting things. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for roll number 2?
I'm ready for roll number 2. Let's do it. Ah, don't drop the die. Number 2.
Number 2. Okay. This one's not as cruel.
Okay.
The book with the prettiest cover on your shelves that you have not read yet.
Ooh, prettiest cover. Oh, that's going to be hard. Okay. Be right back. So this was a hard one because I went over there thinking like special edition, right? Because I do have some special editions, like some Illumicrate books and such that I haven't read yet. But then I remember there's one book that I made myself like a list of stuff I kind of want to get to in July if I can. And there is one item on that list that I love the cover of it. You'll never guess why. But Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher.
Well, I know why you'd want to get to that book, and it is a very pretty cover.
I really like the cover. I like the sword. I like the kind of symmetry they've gone for with like the towers and the birds and stuff. And I like the colors. I like the whole combination with the like teal edges. I just think it's a really pretty cover. And I was kind of debating between this one and then one of the like Illumicrate special editions I have over there, because I think it was Illumicrate. I have like This Woven Kingdom, which is also like a really beautiful naked hardback that's all foiled.
Yeah.
But I really like this one with like the sword and the symmetry and all the plants and everything. So this kind of worked out in my favor because I really wanted to get to this one in July too. So
there we go. See, I'm not mean all the time.
No. And your prompts are fun.
You have 3 rolls left, so I can't promise the same for the rest.
This also reminds me I wanted to pull up my little list just in case. Just so I remember some of those items that I've been meaning to get to. Okay. Rolling for book.
Here we go. Roll number 3.
The dice went off the dice tray. It's number 14.
Number 14. I forgot to put this one in. Okay, number 14 is a book with a main character who is definitely not like other girls.
Oh no. Huh.
Use some thinkers.
I'm gonna have to think about that. What do I have?
I will do the one that we allowed last time, and I will allow you 1 reroll.
Okay, that's fair.
But that means that if you reroll this one, that means you're stuck with the 2 prompts that you get. I will also strike that one from the board if need be.
Fair. Let me take a look at what I got and evaluate. I feel good about this choice.
Oh, you found something.
I found something.
Okay.
And I've come at this at an angle I don't think you're expecting. But hear me out. Carrie by Stephen King.
I mean, yeah, that is. I didn't specify.
You didn't specify. She's definitely not like other girls. She's worse. She kills people with her mind.
Yeah, okay. You got me
I
there. You
vaguely
got me there.
know a little bit about the story of Carrie. And since I got the Stephen King box set for Christmas, I've been trying to work some of these in and I haven't managed to yet. So I feel like this would be a good opportunity. Also because July is usually for me hot ghoul summer. This is when I
Yeah.
read like a bunch of horror stuff and play horror games and everything in July every year because it feels like the right time of year to do it to me. So this lets me get another horror in because I'm also doing Summerween in July. So kind of get to carry some of the horror over. But I feel like it counts. I feel like that works. I feel like
Yeah. Yeah.
Carrie is not like other girls.
Yeah. Again, there's enough creative liberty in here to where you can do things like that. So,
Yeah.
go for it.
Nice.
All right, you are halfway through.
Yeah. This is going well. Now that I've said that, it's gonna go badly. But
Yeah, I was going to say there are
just
two on
cursed
here in
myself.
particular. There are two on here in particular that I'm kind of hoping you get. So
Fair.
we'll see if you get one of them.
Oh, the dice fell out of the tray. Let me reroll that one. It bounced
Okay.
out of the tray, landed on my desk, and then fell, and I caught it.
Oh, damn.
So let me actually get a number here. 8.
8. Oh, this is a fun one. I actually no, this is one of the other ones I was kind of hoping you get. Okay. For context, Hope has a spreadsheet
Mm-hmm.
of all of her books. You need to take the entire have not read list of your books and put it into a spinner wheel website and let the wheel decide which book you're reading.
Okay. Well, then give me just a second because I already know a spinner wheel site that I'll use.
I'm so glad you landed on that one. That was one I was pretty proud of when I thought of it.
It's a good one. So do you want me to do all unread, like all of my unread, or just unread physical?
We'll do unread physical. We'll leave it to
Okay.
physical.
Let me go to unphysical unread. Okay, and I'm going to let me get this set up so that you can see the wheel. Let me add this
Okay.
browser source to this. Actually, do I have that pulled out as a separate tab? I'll just pull it out as a separate tab.
If it's another
Um,
Sticky Stackhouse book, I'm gonna cackle.
that would be very funny if that happened. Yes. Okay. That's visible now. I am gonna make it a little smaller and put it down here. It's gonna cover our faces slightly for a minute.
That's fine.
But we'll put it right there. And I am gonna real quick, just to really randomize it, I'm gonna shuffle a few times. Okay.
Right.
Well, let's do it. Here, let me show it to you too.
I already say you want to share your screen that way I can see what chaos this brings.
Okay, now I've got the thing set up so that the on the recording it's over where the like watch stream is in Discord.
Okay.
Because I forgot that was gonna like shuffle things around a little bit. Okay, let's go.
Okay, here we go. What will it be?
Okay. We
Oh,
got The
I actually don't
Adventures
know
of
this.
Amina al-Sarafi. Let me grab it. Okay. So, you said you haven't seen this one before.
Nope.
It's a pirate book.
Oh,
So,
okay.
The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi, from what I recall, the concept is that it's following a like middle-aged pirate who has retired, and then something happens, I think related to her son. No, I take it back. Okay, let me just read you the description here. It's a new trilogy of magic and mayhem on the high seas in this tale of pirates and sorcerers, forbidden artifacts, and ancient mysteries in one woman's determined quest to seize a final chance at glory and write her own legend. Amina al-Sarafi should be content. After a storied and scandalous career as one of the Indian Ocean's most notorious pirates, she survived backstabbing rogues, vengeful merchant princes, several husbands, and one actual demon to retire peacefully with her family to a life of piety, motherhood, and absolutely nothing that hints of the supernatural. But when she's tracked down by the obscenely wealthy mother of a former crewman, she's offered a job no bandit could refuse: retrieve her comrade's kidnapped daughter for a kingly sum. The chance to have one last adventure with her crew, do right by an old friend, and win a fortune that will secure her family's future forever? It seems like such an obvious choice that it must be God's will. Yet the deeper Amina dives, the more it becomes alarmingly clear there's more to this job and the girl's disappearance than she was led to believe. For there's always risk in wanting to become a legend, to seize one last chance at glory, to savor just a bit more power, and the price might be your very soul.
Okay, that sounds pretty fun.
It sounds really fun, and actually, this is a really good moment to read it because I think the sequel either just came out or is about to come out. So, kind of a good moment to read it.
Okay,
Good pick.
very nice.
Thank you, Spinner
All
Wheel.
right, awesome. You did good, Spinner Wheel.
All right. One more.
Are, well, are you ready for the final roll?
I'm ready. Okay.
All right,
Let's
here
do
we
it.
go.
Did we get 2 already?
Yes, we did. You'll have to
Okay.
reroll.
Reroll. Oop. Did we get 4 already?
Um,
It almost
yes
fell
or
off
no,
the
we did
desk.
not.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we got 4.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, you know what? This is actually a good dichotomy with another one that you picked.
Okay.
Pick the book with the ugliest cover on your shelf that you've not read yet.
Okay. Is it not just Dead as a Door, Dead to the World, or Dead as a Doornail, or whatever this thing is?
I mean, if you want to use
It's
your
pretty
reroll
bad.
on that, if you want to use your reroll on that, we can.
No, that's cool. Let me look, and then we'll decide from there. I brought an option. I think ugly covers is hard because I just don't really have a lot of ugly covers on my shelf.
Okay.
So I brought something for you to evaluate. If you say yes to this one, we'll roll with the prompt. If you say no to it, we'll roll again. How about that? Because I picked something that's kind of goofy looking, if that makes sense. Like, it's not a bad cover, it's just a goofy looking cover. And I think intentionally so. Like, it is conveying something about the book. But it's kind of weird looking.
Okay. Oh,
Glorious
my.
Exploits by Ferdia Linen. It's I feel like this cover is very much conveying something about the story. And like I said, it's not like an ugly cover, but it is kind of silly with the big.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I don't think that's an ugly cover though.
Yeah, see,
It's
that's
goofy.
I don't think it is ugly. I think it's just kind of goofy.
So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say we just strike it. And
Okay.
I'm gonna delete that prompt and let's do a reroll. You get a free
Okay.
reroll.
Okay.
So
Let's try this again. Because
so
I
there is
was
now no
looking and I
number
just
4. So
okay, no number 4. But yeah, I was just like, I have so many books on this shelf that have beautiful covers, but I just
yep.
don't really have many aside from like the Sookie Stackhouse ones that have ugly covers. I guess I could grab like Crown of Midnight, but that feels like a cop out because it's just like a very basic YA cover. That's
Yeah.
like a person aiming a bow and arrow or whatever. Like it's not ugly, it's just very early 2000s YA.
Yeah.
So, or 2010s, I guess. But okay. It rolled number 4 again. Number 7.
Okay, we did not we did not do number 7. God, you were you're landing in between all the prompts I was hoping you'd hit.
So here's a question, because I know you have some you're very excited about. Do you just want to pick one for me?
No, because that takes away the fun of it. And one of these, it's was made to be by surprise, and you did not roll on it. So
we're saving it for another month. Side note, we
yes.
are planning to do these like once a quarter, so this will be again in like October.
Yeah. No, we're gonna be good because as much as I'd like to see you squirm with one of these, it doesn't feel right.
Okay.
You said you rolled number 7?
Yeah.
Actually, no, you did hit one of the ones I wanted.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm very sorry. You hit the whammy.
The whammy is number 7?
Yes.
Holy shit.
So
I'm kind of excited to find out what it is.
that probably will go away here very soon. Okay. So this is called so some of these have titles.
Okay.
This one is called Shelf Control by Gunpoint. Choose a book you haven't read to unload from your collection right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Okay. Okay. Hang on. Oh, I gotta unhaul a book. Unprompted. Hang on. I got some. Before I walk off. Question.
Yes.
Can it be a book I've partially read?
Yes.
Or does it need to be something I have not touched at all?
You can have finished the book.
Okay, I can have read part of it, but not the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay. Be right back. I think,
How is that one of your quicker ones?
well, because I had something in mind, which is why I asked if I could pick
Okay.
something I've already started. I think this is a good moment for me to pull the trigger on something I've been thinking about doing for a while now. I have
Okay.
a book I've been reading since 2022 that I
It
have
just hit me.
refused.
I think I know which one this is.
Which one do you think it is?
Is it Empire of the Vampire?
No, I already DNF'd that one, and it's already in the
Oh,
unhaul
okay.
pile. Um, no. Although that one I started in 2021. No, no, that might have also been 2022. No, I started this one in the spring of 22. It's Finley Donovan is Killing It by El Cosmano.
Okay.
I have been resistant to DNFing and unhauling this one because it is like a booktube favorite. Like, it is a booktube darling in terms of mysteries. It's everybody I've seen who's read it has loved it. And I started it, and I was really enjoying the first part of it. It does some fun things with the mystery, like early on,
Hmm.
but I I was doing a master's degree at the time. So like I just kind of didn't have time to finish reading it. And then every time I've tried to pick it back up since then, there is a romance in here. Like that's just kind of starting to get off the ground where I'm at. That
Uh-huh.
gives me secondhand embarrassment. And Jacob already knows this, but that is like the one emotion I cannot handle in media is if something makes me like secondhand embarrassed for somebody, I cannot handle that. I can handle a lot of things, but not that. And so every time I pick it up, I'm at a bit where Finley is like has just been talking to this guy who seems to be the love interest, and I it makes me cringe. Put the book down every single time. And it's been so long since I started this that while I remember a lot of it, I kind of feel like I would need to go back and restart it. And I don't know if I want to do all of that again, you know?
That's fair. That's fair.
So, as much as I hate to do it, I feel like it's time to admit defeat on this one.
So congratulations, you only ended up with 4 books.
I was gonna say we could do a sixth roll, since I only have
That
four
is
books.
that is completely up to you. I'm gonna leave that to your choice.
You know what? You know what we did last time, where I rolled and I had 5 books, and it was like if I finish all five, I can. What was it like?
Yeah, if you finish all 5, you get to you get to choose a prompt that goes into the list.
Yeah. Um. Do you want to do that?
So yeah, I mean that is up to you if you want to go for that. I'm not going to tell you no. I do want to if you do that, I do want to mention the numbers that we have already rolled,
Okay.
or that I've erased prompts from. So you cannot roll a 2, a 4, a 7, 8, 14, or 18.
2, 4, 7, 8, 14, 18.
Yep.
Okay. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do the bonus. Let's just make it like an even 5 because we came in kind of expecting 5.
Yeah.
Let's do an even
I
5.
should I should mention right now that there's a prompt on here that will end up with 6 if you hit it.
That's okay.
Let her rip.
Did we do 17 already? Is that on that list? 14 and 18.
17 is not done, and this is another one that's fun.
Okay.
This one also has a title similar to the last one. It's
Okay.
called The Illusion of Choice.
Okay.
Hope picks any book, but Jacob must approve of it. I don't know. I don't like how he looks at me.
Okay. Let me go grab
No,
something
you
else.
can, no,
No,
I'll,
let me bring you another
okay,
option.
okay, bring me
You said
another
no, so
option.
let me bring you another option.
Yeah, we'll pick, you bring me, okay, you can't hear me.
Huh?
Or can you hear me? Okay, I was gonna say, pick one more, and then I'll choose between the two. How about that?
Okay, that works. Sorry for the delay there.
It's
My hair has
okay.
gone weird. Don't worry about it. Uh,
Don't worry about it. Don't ask
so
questions.
the other option I've chosen, I grabbed because I feel like with these being my main set, I need another short one because I suspect
Okay.
this one in particular will take me a little while. So the other option, just to remind me, we have Glorious Exploits with the goofy face, and then the other
Okay.
option I grabbed was the Dead Cattail Assassins by P. Jelly Clark. So
Ooh.
This one is two guys go to like put well, they go out to feed Athenians who are trapped in a quarry, and then they decide to like put on a play with those Athenians. It's like set in during the Peloponnesian War. And
Okay.
then Dead Cattail Assassins. Evine the Eviscerator is skilled, discreet, professional, and here for your most pressing needs in the ancient city of Talabisi. Her guild is strong, her blades are sharp, and her rules are simple. Those sworn to the Matron of Assassins, resurrected, deadly, wiped of their memories, have only three unbreakable vows. First, the contract must be just. That's above Evine's pay grade. Second, even the most powerful assassin may only kill the contracted. Evine's a professional, she's never missed her mark. The third and the simplest, once you accept a job, you must carry it out, and if you stray, a final death would be a mercy. When the Festival of the Clockwork King turns the city upside down, Avine's newest mission brings her face to face with a past she isn't supposed to remember and a vow she can't forget. So,
Okay. Hmm. Let's see. I mean, P. Clark
solid all
is
the time.
always a solid option.
Hmm.
Maybe one of my favorite novellas of all time. But I mean, look at Glorious Exploits.
It does have a goofy cover. I do kind of love the like silly. I almost want them to be real googly eyes, so like when you shake the book, they rattle around.
I've always thought that they were every time I saw that in Barnes and Noble, and I was really disappointed to see that it wasn't.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, who can deny that side eye?
We're gonna go Glorious Exploits.
I think we're going to do Glorious Exploits.
All right. Good choice. I was hoping you would go with that one only because it is on my list of books I'd like to get to in July. But I would have
Fair.
been happy with either of them because I do love P. Jelly Clark anyway.
Well, there. Yeah, I was going to say P. Clark. As much as I
Neither
love
of
his
those was
work,
going to be a bad choice.
yeah. But there you
So,
go. There's your 5.
there's my five for July. So, as you've just seen, we have Dead of the World by Charlaine Harris, Carrie by Stephen King, Glorious Exploits by Freddie Lennon, Swordheart by T. Kingfisher, and The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty to read. And I'm so excited for this. I think this is going to be such a good mix of genres. I've been slumping really hard this year, particularly through May and June, and I've really just started to get some momentum back in the kind of later part of June. So I'm really hopeful that having a nice mix of genres and a few things that are short, a few things that are longer, is going to help me kind of maintain that momentum and get back some more excitement for reading. And I think where I want to start is with Glorious Exploits and or Carrie. I'm not sure exactly which one I'm going to start first. I think it's likely to be Glorious Exploits because I think this is kind of what I'm in the mood for. But I've chosen these two because I'm actually going to be traveling right at the start of July. Today is the 29th of June. But I'm going to be traveling for work for a couple of days because I'm going up to our corporate office for some accessibility training for upcoming digital accessibility guidelines that are going into effect next year. We're trying to kind of get ready for that and get up to date and everything. So I'm going up for some accessibility training, which means I'm going to have some time like sitting in airports, sitting on planes, probably some time hanging out by myself in the hotel in the evenings, and I wanted to have something to do that isn't electronic because I have to go through airports and I hate trying to take all of my stuff out of my bag through TSA. My local airport, I don't have to do that. They have the fancy new scanners, but the one that I'm flying back out of to come home doesn't have that, so I will have to take all of my electronics out of my bag on the way back. So I'm trying to minimize the difficulty of the travel, and I feel like it's going to be some really good reading time. Like I'm going to have a lot of time where I'm just sitting around and I could get some reading done. So that is the plan. I'm going to try and start these two. Probably Glorious Exploits first, just because that's, I think, what I'm in the mood for, but I feel like these are both going to be really great for travel. So I have finished Glorious Exploits. I did start this on my trip up for the digital accessibility training we were doing. I read probably 50 pages of it between the trip up and the trip back, and I just finished this last night. For you, it's been a few seconds. For me, it's been a couple of weeks. It's currently like the 17th or 18th, I think, of July. It's the 18th, according to my computer. I took a little break to do Summerween in the middle, but I came back to this one and finished it last night, and I absolutely love this. This is 5 stars. This is so well written, and I think I want to come back to this at some point and actually annotate it. I did not start annotating it because I forgot to take my pencil with me on the trip. I didn't even have a pen on me, so I did not annotate on the first little chunk that I read while I was flying, and I decided that I wanted to, if I was going to annotate, I wanted to do it kind of in one go instead of annotating partially on the first read-through and then coming back and doing another read-through to annotate again. So what I'm hoping to do at some point, I'm going to let this one sit for a little bit, but I am going to come back to it and annotate it, reread it and annotate it, because I just absolutely love this. I can't remember if I gave you the premise. So the setup is that we're following these two guys, Gelon and Lampo, and we're reading from Lampo's POV. He's the narrator of the story. But the two of them are out-of-work potters during the Peloponnesian War, who, to fill their days, because they're kind of bored, they've been going down to the quarry where a bunch of invading Athenians who have been defeated are being held just to starve to death, basically. And they've been going down there and asking the Athenians if they know any Euripides. And if they can quote Euripides, they're offering them, like, food and wine. That's how they're entertaining themselves. And at the start of this book, that entertainment starts to snowball, because Gelon suggests that they should put on an entire play. They find a few Athenians who are familiar enough with Euripides' work to stage an entire play. And so they decide to do that. And so they start forming a cast and trying to get the supplies that they need to do that. Things like backdrops and costumes and more food to feed them, because they don't want their actors dropping dead while they're trying to rehearse. It's the two of them, like, trying to do this, like, massive undertaking that is staging a play in the quarry with the Athenians, who are quite hated by most of the other people here. It's set in Syracuse, I should say. So it's set in Syracuse during that war. And so there's a lot of bitterness in Syracuse because the Athenians have invaded their island of Sicily and have, killed a lot of people. And there's a lot of people in Syracuse who have lost family members to the war. And so there's bitterness there, but there's also the sense of, like, bridging a gap, them finding common ground with the Athenians and kind of acknowledging their shared humanity. And the book, I would say, is just generally about not, like, it's not aiming for verisimilitude. It's not trying to be, like, true to the history of the time and place, but it's, like, all of the dialogue is quite modern, but it's trying to say something more broadly about how people deal with dark times and how, like, art can help bring people together. And I just thought this was really beautifully written. Like I said, I want to annotate it because there's just so many excellent lines that I think are going to stick with me, things that the characters say that are just really poignant. And I really enjoyed seeing Gelon and Lampo interacting through this. We're from Lampo's POV, and he's this interesting character where he's kind of self-sabotaging. He's got a twisted foot, so he's slightly limited in his mobility, and it's also resulted in him kind of being insulted and bullied a lot growing up. And at this point, they're both kind of youngish men. They're in their, like, late 20s, early 30s, I think. And he's never really, like, aimed for anything. So he's just kind of, he's unambitious. He's a little bit self-sabotaging. He tends to put his foot in his mouth as often as he makes a good point. That plays off of Gelon, who is a lot more confident. He's also a lot more attractive, like, conventionally speaking. And he's also a lot more melancholy. Gelon's been through some shit as a result of not even the war, of some other things that have happened with his family. And he's this very kind of melancholic character. And it's interesting to see those dynamics play off of each other, especially as they, like, support each other, because it's clear that they both, like, very highly value their friendship and they're really important to each other, even if their personalities clash at times. They both undergo some interesting personality development across the course of the story as well. I think Gelon starts to reckon with his losses and finds purpose, and I think Lampo also finds a purpose, but they end up at very different points in the book. They are still very close friends, but they've ended up at, like, very different moments in their lives as a result of the things that they go through trying to stage this play. And I really enjoyed all of that development. I think this is I think I said poignant earlier. I think that's a good word for it. I think it's a very poignant, impactful book, and I just really enjoyed it. I liked the way that the book was focused on the idea of stories and the way that stories help us make sense of the world around us and deal with the things that we've experienced and bring people together even in times of strife. So I would highly recommend this, and this was such a high to start this video on. That said, it does have a sort of bittersweet ending that had me just sobbing last night. I think I took a picture right after I finished it. So here's that. But I feel like I need a bit of a palate cleanser, something that's a little bit lighter and sillier and not so serious to move on to the next book with. So I think what we're going to do next is Dead to the World by Charlaine Harris, because I know this is going to be, like, a stupid good time, and I'm gonna enjoy it, even if it's not gonna be super well written the way that Dead to the World is, but I'm gonna have fun reading it, and I'm gonna recap it for my friends. This is our Curse Book Club thing, because that's what I've been reading this series for, and we'll just go from there. This will be a nice little palate cleanser for me, coming from Glorious Exploits, before I dive into some of the other big books on this list. So that's the plan, and I'm going to go get started. I need to create a new channel for us to discuss this one in, because I realized I've just recently, in our Curse Book Club thing, I started separating out the discussions, because now there's so many things we've just discussed in like our general chat channel, that now when I want to find something specific, I have to go hunting for it. And I figured it'd be easier if I could just like divide it into like specific channels. Plus, that lets the people who are in that server who are not interested in it kind of mute it and not have to participate in the Curse Book Club if they don't want to. So that's what I'm gonna go do, and I will be back. Hopefully, I'll remember to do some midway thoughts for that. I was gonna do midway thoughts for Glorious Exploits, but I'll be honest, I was just finding it kind of difficult to figure out how to frame my thoughts on it and how to talk about it. It's very much outside of my wheelhouse, so I think that I was just not used to trying to talk about a literary book of this kind. At least I haven't done that in a while, not since I finished my degree a few years ago. So, yeah, that's it. That's the ramble. I just realized that I really badly need to charge my camera. I have 7% battery, so I'm going to try and talk very quickly without being incomprehensible, but I wanted to check in because I am about halfway through Dead to the World, and this is exactly the kind of silly, over-the-top adventure that I needed after finishing Glorious Exploits. Where Glorious Exploits made me cry a lot, this one is making me laugh a lot, and even though I don't think these books are necessarily good, I do think they're wildly entertaining, and I'm enjoying being back in this world with these characters, particularly a couple of my favorite characters from the series. I don't want to say too much about the plot because it kind of hinges on something big that happens at the end of book 3, but the setup for this book is, I guess it's not the plot directly that hinges, it's more of Suki's development in this book that hinges on it, but the premise of this particular installment is that Suki is driving home on New Year's Eve, having just finished up working at the big New Year's bash at Merlot's bar, and she discovers a man running in, wearing pants and nothing else, just running along the side of the road, and he seems very frightened. And she stops to try and help him. She's like, maybe something's after him, but I'm gonna feel awful if I don't try to help at least. And when she stops to help him, she realizes that she knows the man. And it's Eric Northman, who is the vampire sheriff of Area 5. She knows him pretty well. She's been kind of halfway working for him for several books now, and he doesn't remember who he is. He's scared. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know who Suki is. He doesn't know how he got on the side of the road. He just knows that he's kind of fleeing from somebody. He doesn't even know really who he's fleeing from. He just knows he's fleeing, and he thinks somebody is after him. So she rescues him and has to launch into investigating what's going on, who's after him, why are they after him, why has he lost his memories, what have they done to him, and why did they do it, how did he get along the side of the road, what's happened with his followers, his lackeys, Pam and Chow, who are two of his main Pam's his second in command and Chow is one of his main sidekicks, and so she's like, what's going on? And I'm really enjoying how much of this book is Suki having to deal with stuff on her own. Because we have, on the one hand, Suki investigating and not having her usual backup of a vampire who's there to be big and scary and prevent her from getting hurt. Or she's also had a werewolf help her out in a previous book. So she's completely by herself for a lot of this, just investigating and having to rely on her own resourcefulness and brain power to figure out what's going on. And I'm really enjoying seeing that from Suki because Suki is quite capable, and I feel like the previous books have really hidden that because she so frequently is dealing with, there's a vampire or a werewolf or somebody at her shoulder who is trying to be the big protector. And so I think it's really interesting to see that Suki is quite capable of things and is intelligent in her own right. So I'm enjoying that. I also like how much of this is about Suki's personal development as she is grappling with the events from the end of the previous book and trying to decide how she feels about the people involved with that, as particularly Eric, who was involved in the previous book. Having him in her house as a blank slate has her kind of reevaluating why is it that my relationship with Eric when he's himself has developed in this particular way, and how do I fit into the world of vampires, but also to what extent do I want to fit into that world, if any. And so I think that it's interesting she's really grappling with these big questions about herself and her role in the world and how much she wants to be involved with these people, because she's growing quite fond of this blank slate Eric, but also finding that she misses his regular personality, that she's now has also grown quite fond of regular Eric and didn't really quite realize that. So I'm finding that really interesting. I like how much of this is very Sookie focused. This is going to be a very quick and very poorly lit update because it's quite late at night right now and I am very tired. I've had a very long day and now I have a headache. But amidst all of that, I have finished Dead to the World, and I think this is my favorite in the series so far. Like, I still wouldn't say that I think these are well written, or that, like, they're very of their time. That holds true. I think that, like, the writing is fine. It gets you from point A to point B. But what I ended up enjoying about this was how Sookie focused it was, how much of it was Sookie proving how competent she is and getting to use her own skills. But also, there's a lot of things at stake for Sookie here in terms of her emotions, because she's, like, dealing with the fallout of the previous book, and then somebody that she cares very deeply about goes missing in this one. And so there's just a lot going on for her, and I liked how much of this was Sookie grappling with that, and having to be strong without her usual support system, and the way that that influenced her kind of ongoing relationships with some of the other characters. So I really like that. We have some returning characters I like. We have a new character that I find really creepy. But overall, I had a lot of fun with this one. Again, I'm trying not to be too specific because I don't want to spoil the plot. But I just thought this was a really fun installment of this, and it was exactly what I needed when I picked it up. So, we've had another win. And now, I have no idea what I'm going to read next, and my brain is too tired to decide. It's going to be one of our remaining 3, but I can't decide what I'm in the mood for. I think it's probably not going to be Carrie, because I don't know if I want to read horror right now, but I'm not sure which of the other 2 it's likely to be. We'll find out. I'm going to sleep on it. I'll figure out my next read tomorrow, and then whatever I choose, that's probably going to end up going with me. We're going to be visiting my partner's extended family. His grandfather is turning 80, so we're going over for a birthday party and some other family reunion kind of stuff. So we're going to be doing that over the weekend, which means we're going to have a lot of driving time and a lot of family time, and somewhere in there I'm hoping to get a little bit of reading time in. But whatever book I choose next will probably be the thing that goes with us for my entertainment during the downtime. It's fairly early in the morning, and I think my lighting isn't great, but I have to update you on Sword Heart, because I'm a little before the halfway point. I'm like 170 pages in, it's about 400 pages, and it's so fun. I'm having such a good time. This has so much of T. Kingfisher's sort of trademark humor in it, which I love, and I'm really enjoying the world that she's building out. I think this is set in the same world as some of her other fantasy books, but I'm just really loving these characters and the adventure they're going on. We're following Hala and Sarkis. Hala is a widow who has, over the last several years, been working in her husband's great-uncle's household as the housekeeper, just kind of managing his day-to-day affairs, and she's been in this position, doing really well, and it turns out that he had his will rewritten to make her his sole heir, and so when he finally passes, he's being fairly elderly, it turns out Hala has inherited everything, and his sort of greedy, terrible family is very upset about this, and they try to force Hala to marry her husband's cousin. And she really doesn't want to do that because she finds them all incredibly unpleasant, and they're trying to force her into this marriage, so they've locked her in a room, and she's kind of getting desperate, and she realizes that her one way out of this is if she kills herself, because her will says that anything that she owns will go to her nieces. And so she's looking around the room, can't figure out how she's going to do this because the room is small and crowded, and there's just not a lot in it that would be useful for her goal. But there is a sword mounted on the wall, so she takes the sword down, unsheaths it, and out pops Sarkis, because he is the servant of the sword, and he is now bound to protect her, because she is the new wielder of the sword. So the two of them end up going on this, like, wild adventure to try and claim Hala's inheritance. They have to get away from the greedy, terrible family, and then they have to figure out how they can claim the inheritance and get the family out of the house, and basically get Hala set up in her new life as Silas's heir. I'm just really enjoying this. It's a really fun dynamic between Hala and Sarkis. Hala is very, like, cheerful and inquisitive, but also quite thoughtful of other people. She's kind. And then Sarkis is very dry humored. He's grumpy, probably on account of having been in a sword for centuries or whatever. And he gets a little frustrated with Hala because she is so inquisitive. She's asking questions constantly, but he also admires her resourcefulness and her ability to get out of situations in unexpected ways. And he's also like fascinated by the fact that they go on a fairly difficult journey, and she kind of takes to it much quicker than he thought. She never really complains, and the two of them just get along really well from the start. And I'm really enjoying, because this is a fantasy romance, they're actually both really interested in each other in terms of like romantic interest quite early on. They both are attracted to each other, but there's this like mitigating circumstance of we have to figure out the inheritance problem before we can think about anything else. And so I'm enjoying the way that that is putting pressure on their relationship, where like it's clear that they both kind of want to cross that boundary, but neither of them has like said anything about it, or they haven't like really discussed it with each other, because they're like, well, we have to deal with this other problem first. There's this bigger issue, and before we deal with that, like we can't even think about anything else. So they've gotten to a point where I'm at in the story where they have started to pull in some new characters who are going to help with the inheritance problem, and we'll see where things go from there. But I'm just really enjoying their dynamic. It's very like, it's almost like a slapstick comedy duo between the two of them. They just play off of each other really well because they're such different personalities, and it just meshes in a really unexpected way. And I like the way that they kind of work together towards solving problems, and it's like each of them is kind of not expecting how the other person is going to deal with each situation, but they're very good at like improvising and just going, okay, I guess this is the way the situation is now, and rolling with it. So I'm just enjoying that dynamic. They're very fun together, and I'm excited to see how these new characters being pulled into the story are going to, you know, kind of broaden things. And now, because now there's a new problem. They've done their journey. Now they have to figure out the legal aspect of everything. And so I'm excited to see how that's going to go. We're going to have to do this fairly quickly because my workday is about to start, but I have updates because I have finished Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher, and I had so much fun with this one. I'm really torn between giving it 4.5 or 5 stars. I think I'm leaning towards 5 just because I was delighted and fully engaged all the way through. The reason I'm considering deducting a half star is I think that the first half is a little bit long. I say first half, I mean the first 300 pages, because there's a lot of journeying. This book is about like journeying from one place to another, and then back to the original place, and then back to the place they went previously, and it's just like a lot of moving back and forth. But that part, I feel like, at least the first journey, kind of there and back again, takes up most of the book, and then the sort of resolution of everything that's been kind of building, all of these different, you know, things that they've experienced, the sort of fallout and consequences of everything they've done up to this point, takes place in like the last 100 pages. So I think the first 300 feel a little bit slow, and then the last 100-ish are very like breakneck speed. And so I feel like maybe this could have been a touch shorter, so that, or could have been slightly different ratio of like there and back again to resolution, because it just felt like that last 100 pages maybe needed a little more time to breathe, because some of the kind of fallout moments in that last section felt like they were resolved very quickly and very easily, and I think it was because there just wasn't enough space for them to breathe. They needed a little more tension in some of those moments. But overall, I had a ton of fun with this one. I really enjoyed Hala and Sarkis's dynamic throughout the story. They're both like immediately into each other, but it's very clear that they have practical reasons for not acting on that or talking about it, because they're both very focused on the fact that they have a job to do, that they need to figure out how to get Hala's inheritance from her terrible relatives and get the terrible relatives out of her life. So I liked that they had a sort of believable reason for not talking about it, even though it was, I think, clear to both of them that there was mutual interest there. I also really like that we get some additional characters partway through who become a central part of the cast, and Hala and Sarkis start to make these individual friendships with each of them. So I really liked watching that friendship group develop, and if they have very different kinds of relationships to each of those other characters. Like, so we have Zale and Brindle as our other characters, and Hala's friendships with Zale and Brindle are really sweet, but they're also very different from Sarkis's friendships with Zale and Brindle. So I felt like that was really interesting, and I enjoyed the dynamics of that group, both when it was like, you know, two of them interacting and when it was like the full group interacting. It just led to some really interesting moments and some good character development that I really enjoyed. So I had a lot of fun with this one. I think this is, like, if you want something that's light but digs into some dark themes in a sensitive way. I think this is a pretty good version of that. It definitely has some dark themes that it doesn't take too seriously. I mean, we are starting the book off with a woman who was about to be forcibly married, and so decides to try and kill herself to get out of that situation. But I would say it doesn't stick with that heaviness throughout, but it does also bring up some ideas around, like, justice and punishment, and what it means to be a good person. So I really enjoyed those discussions, and I feel like it had an interesting levity to it, even as it was kind of dealing with those big topics. So yeah, I had a great time with this. I'm really glad I picked it up, and I'm very excited for the sequel that comes out next month. So, knowing that I'm running out of time if I want to get this video up on time, I also went ahead and picked up Carrie by Stephen King, and this always happens to me. I'm always like, yeah, I've got plenty of time to finish this video, and then we get to the end, I'm like, oh crap, I am not going to get this up on time. But I think we're going to manage it this time, because Carrie is actually incredibly readable, and I am already almost 100 pages into it. I just read it, like, yesterday evening, a little bit after I finished Sword Heart, and I'm finding it, like, very compelling. I'm actually surprised at how much I'm enjoying this, because I have sort of a love-hate relationship with Stephen King's writing based on the couple of books I've read so far. I previously read It and Misery, so this has been an interesting experience because this is, I think, very different from both of those. I did not know that Carrie was his first book, but I learned that reading the first few pages of the introduction. I did not read the entire introduction because I know the introductions typically spoil some of what happens in a story, so I wanted to go in a little more blind than that. I am familiar with the, like, general gist of the story, that it's about a young woman who is bullied and abused until she finally snaps and her telekinetic powers result in this kind of mass casualty event. I'm aware of that being, like, the gist of the story, but I wanted to get into the details of it for myself. And what I didn't know going into this is that it's also mixed media. It's not, like, super dramatic differences between the sections, but the story is told through a range of kind of shifting POVs. We get Carrie's POV, but we also get, like, her gym teacher, and one of the girls who was involved in bullying her, and the, like, principal and assistant principal of the school, and all of these other people. And in addition to those different POVs, we also get these little excerpts from various articles, both, like, academic articles, but also, like, newspaper articles, magazine articles, these other pieces of writing that came out sort of in the aftermath of what happens at the end of the book, kind of examining, like, how did we get here? Could we have seen this coming? What does this tell us about, like, telekinesis? So there's these other articles that are kind of picking apart Carrie's childhood from this more bird's eye view, kind of dispassionate observer angle. And there's interviews with people that knew her or met her at some point, or who knew the family, knew her, like, her parents. And so I'm finding that really interesting. I wasn't expecting there to be, like, a mixed media element in here, but I'm really enjoying that aspect. I think because we're switching quite quickly between different sections, you might get, like, a couple of pages of POV, and then it hard cuts to something else. I think it keeps the pace moving really quickly, and I'm finding this, like, compulsively readable, and I'm just tearing through it. I'm very interested to see how all of these pieces are going to fit together to lead to the conclusion that I know happens at the end of the book. I'm really, like, compelled, and this is probably the most fun I've had reading a Stephen King book. So I'm really excited that I'm picking this one up finally, and I'm interested to see how all those pieces fit together as I get through the end. It's very late, and I am extremely tired, so please bear with me, as I'm probably going to be rambly here, but I have finally finished Carrie by Stephen King, and I have to say I think this is my favorite Stephen King book I've read thus far. So this is my third one. I previously have read It and Misery, and I think of those three, this is the most compelling. This is the one where I really felt like I needed to keep picking up the book to see what was going to happen next. I really liked the format of this. I wasn't expecting it to be mixed media, but it is. And I really enjoyed that format. I felt like it kept dropping these little interesting pieces of information, and you'd have these, like, big moments of revelation where you would have something, some sort of discovery or theory or something like that would be, you know, conveyed in one of the mixed media pieces, and then you would actually see the events kind of related to that point play out through one of the shifting POVs. Our most frequent POVs being Carrie herself, and then Sue, who is the one girl of the group of girls who makes fun of Carrie at the start and kind of kicks off the events of the book, who feels, like, real guilt about it and is wanting to do something about that. So I really enjoyed this. I felt like it just moved at a great pace. I was really intrigued to see how things were going to play out. I think there's an interesting, like, parallel structure to the beginning and end of the story. I liked the dynamics between the different characters and the way that Carrie, like, grew in her power and her confidence in herself over time. I really enjoyed a lot of it. I think the things that I didn't care for, there's a lot of racist imagery in, like, the last 100 pages. I know it's from the 1970s. Still, that bothered me quite a bit. Actually, it happens a lot suddenly in the last 100 pages. And I also felt like there were some moments where, like, some of Carrie's actions or, like, some of her words didn't quite make sense because a lot of the book was from her POV. The way that she's introduced at the start is someone who is, like, very under her mother's thumb, kind of espousing her mother's religious philosophy. But once she kind of rejects that philosophy, she starts talking about and referencing things that don't make sense as she is an isolated child of a religious fanatic. Just lots of pieces that didn't quite make sense for that setup. So I found that a little bit disjointed feeling, but like I said, overall, very compelling story. I think there's some really great horror moments in here, some really scary pieces. It does go a little bit over the top with the paranormal aspect near the end, but I did have a good time reading it, and I'm glad that I've finally gotten around to it. I will definitely be reading more Stephen King going forward, because I have at least 2 more of his books on my shelf, but I'm glad that I finally got to this one, and I'm also glad that I enjoyed this one as much as I did, because I have been trying to find one of his books that I really like, and we finally have had a success. So this is where we're going to wrap up this vlog, and speaking of successes, this has been a very successful vlog. I've managed to read 4 books. Again, tired, can't remember them off the top of my head, so bear with me. We read Glorious Exploits, which I gave 5 stars, Dead to the World, which I think I gave like 3.5 stars, but I think that's the highest rating I've given a Sookie Stackhouse book. We read Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher, which I gave 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed that, and now I have finished Carrie, which I think I'm probably going to give 4 stars. So, highly successful, really coming out of this reading slump I've been in this year, and honestly, this is some of the best, like, ratings that I've had in months. So, I'm really happy about that. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you today. I am very tired. I'm going to go get some rest. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope you consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. I'm currently posting at least once a week, and I hope to see you in the next video.